I noticed some unusual activity today around the compound, and before I get into that, make sure you're subscribed here on YouTube. Make sure you hit that bell notification button. Make sure you check me out on Patreon, UGETube, and Bitchute, where I'll be putting some exclusive content going forward as the shadow banning continues. My subscriber numbers are being messed with and deleted, and my views are being deleted on certain videos. It's quite odd what happens here at YouTube. So the unusual activity that I noticed starting pretty early this morning. I don't live terribly far from a fracking operation, and they have been going non-stop all day. All day. I haven't noticed this much activity in the area in months, but they're back hard at work. They're trying to get every drop out of that well they possibly can while they can. Now, I talk about this in a video that I was just working on. There are some things you need to get together now and make preparations now going forward to insulate yourself from the economic hardships that are likely to follow even just the series of executive actions that were just signed into law. One of the big giveaways from my next video, I'm going to tell you now, you need to get out of the city and you need to move to the countryside. That's number one. You're going to need to find a part of the country that's affordable. So if you've been working remotely, you may have already done this, but you need to get to an area that's affordable, that you can stay in. And remember, the big takeaway from this, you are a refugee, not a missionary. I get more in depth into that in the video, specifically on this topic. And I might make more videos on adapting to rural living, adapting to a rural environment. If people are interested, leave in the comments below how to mingle with the local population and not come off as a jerk like many Californians and the like tend to do when they move to a rural area. They tend to not ingratiate themselves with the local community particularly well and often talk about trying to make things better or make it more like the place they just left, even though they seem to ignore every reason they actually just left that dump and then moved out to the sticks with the rest of us. So my observation here, though, with the additional fracking, definitely causes a little more pause for concern. I expect we will continue to see escalating gas prices, and my area being so tied in with the oil and gas industry, should there be additional legislation or executive orders that impact their industry, it's going to depress the countryside massively. These are some of the best paying jobs typically in rural America, aside from automotive mechanics and people who run hardware stores. When you drive through a lot of rural America, you don't typically see a ton of industry. There's usually a couple of corner shops and maybe a local grocery store, and then everybody else works in some sort of either manufacturing facility or they work in oil and gas or coal. And when you go to war with the primary employers in these areas, there's a reason why. And if you had the opportunity to use this year to do some traveling, you didn't see any Biden signs anywhere. You didn't see any Biden signs anywhere. The only place that there were signs for Joseph Biden were in smaller liberal pockets in major cities. That's it. The rest of the country, I assure you, was covered with Trump signs. Not once was there a Biden sign seen on any trip, any travel, anything I've done across the country. And in fact, right now, I'm still only seeing exclusively Biden signs on exclusively Trump signs on my travels. And now that Joe's in office, weirdly enough, I've now seen several Biden bumper stickers that probably were not on the road previously, which is just odd because I saw 0 bumper stickers for Joe. I only saw some Bernie Bro stickers. And we're talking about traveling thousands of miles over days and weeks this year. It's crazy. It just doesn't make any sense. But that's beside the point. The point of this video that I'm making is that you do need to make some preparations going forward. You need to begin sitting down and itemizing the things that are in your house. You really need to look at your bills, figure out what's important to you, because there may be additional interruptions, if you haven't had them already, with your ability to pay bills or make money. A lot of the side type work that I was doing, most of that's gone away, unfortunately. Luckily for me, I was able to get a fairly decent raise, but as far as side opportunities, side hustle stuff, that's gone. It's not coming back either. They were support industries to entertainment venues, conventions, that type of thing, and those are a thing of the past now. We're not doing in-person conventions in my neck of the woods anymore, and I know some places have decided they're going to go ahead with it, at least for now. I'll be curious to see how many venues and places actually allow them to proceed, if there isn't additional executive action on that type of thing. So if you're hedging your bets on being able to work trade shows and that type of stuff going forward, you really need to find something else if you haven't already, because that employs a shocking number of people. So make sure you're making those, as I said, those preparations, that you're figuring out what you don't need, what you do need. You need to make sure that your bases are covered here, because there's a lot of contingencies to plan for economically. And I'm not suggesting you move out to the sticks and become a Luddite or something, but do make those sound financial investments. Real estate is a pretty secure one. I'm not a financial advisor, but this is true. Most people agree. Real estate's a pretty solid investment. You're typically not going to lose very much money, and if you do, over time, you will recoup it and then some, typically. Even after the crash of 2007 through 2012, the property values have all rebounded and exploded since then. In fact, I was trying to buy more acreage than I already have right now, and the prices near me, because I live out in the countryside, have exploded. People don't want to live in the cities anymore. They're not interested. Which brings me to the next point. If you have real estate in the city, it's time to sell it, time to get out of the city, because the longer you wait, the longer you put it off, the less you're going to get, because nobody wants to live in an area that's all boarded up and looks like a war zone. They don't. I had the unfortunate displeasure of driving through. I had to make a errand stop downtown the other day, and as I was driving through, I noticed everything was rather depressed looking. And not just rather depressed, the city had gone back about 40 years. Business was gone, everything was boarded up, broken glass, graffiti everywhere. Completely unrecognizable from what it was in January or December of last year. And this is coming to your major city too, if it hasn't already. Many of the small businesses that are still limping along are on their deathbed. Long established businesses. Look around here on YouTube if you don't believe me. I mean, you'll see story after story, comment after comment about people losing their shirts, losing long established businesses, not even recent startups. We're talking about multi-generational businesses are failing right now. So find a skill set, find something that you can do that requires you to show up in person to make money. That's a big one. Because if you could do your job remotely, and I harp on that in the next video, that means your job can be automated at some point. It's true. So make sure you're in a job that really requires you to show up or be somewhere. And if not, here's your chance to reevaluate and figure out what that job could be. Do research into what a depression type environment looks like and what the job market looks like in these type of events. I don't expect this is going to get better. I hate to say it. I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm way off base here. I hope for the best here. I hope the economy comes roaring back, but it doesn't appear that government officials want that to happen. It doesn't. They've gone to war with the little guy, and the little guy is lost. And they know exactly how much we'll comply with, too, because we did. We covered our faces, we sat back and lost everything. So, anyway, share your thoughts below. Try and keep it civil in here, and please make sure you're subscribed to me on UGETube, Bitchute, here on YouTube as well. We'll keep talking about these type of things and maybe come up with some more solid plans in the future for how we can better insulate ourselves from some of this stuff. But like I said, if you're living in the city, it's time to get out, but do it the right way, and don't be a jerk once you move out here.